I missed it just because there was so much going on. I missed the opportunity to mock the elites as they bestowed this hoax upon us, known as The Interview. Oh, my goodness. I mean, could we have called everything more right about this thing?
No, we couldn't have been more right.
I don't think we could have been more right. It was so obvious. So I know that you watched the movie. I actually watched it as well. I need to, hold on a second. I just need to play two things because that was, so Sony relented, or they reversed their decision. Apparently,
apparently in a obscene effort to get back some of the money they've spent on this turkey of a movie. And by the way, before anyone listens any further, neither one of us are recommending anyone spend a nickel on this piece of crap.
Well, we do have Man on the Street interview, which is always fun. Just to let you listen into how stupid we are in America, as these are people waiting in line. Of course, Texas has a lot of the Alamo theaters, so we got a lot of local news covering people going to see this. And here's how the propaganda works. Now, people who are listening to this program, if you have your No Agenda ears on, you'll recognize immediately how sick these people are, just purely ill. The first one, interestingly enough, sounds like she's British.
This is a film I probably would not have come to see, but because of the controversy, I thought I would come out tonight to stand up for freedom of speech.
I don't think people are afraid of North Korea here in America, on American soil. And we've got thousands of patriotic Americans on missing Christmas with their families to defend our country overseas. And we can't go to a movie at home. That seems kind of lame.
I am here because I wanted to support...
Hey, douche, you're going to the movie.
...filmmakers who were being censored by a foreign body.
Filmmakers being censored by a foreign body.
Because I don't believe that anybody should have the right to censor a work, whether it's satirical or not.
All right, let's talk about this for 1 second.
First of all, it's not satirical.
Let's talk about the censorship for a moment. This is one thing the president talked about in his year-ender, his big double-ender year-ender speech about self-censorship and how he felt that this was wrong of Sony to self-censor. Let us quickly review. Here it is.
We cannot have a society in which some dictator someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States.
No!
Because if somebody is able to intimidate folks out of releasing a satirical movie. Imagine what they start doing when they see a documentary that they don't like, or news reports that they don't like. Or even worse, imagine if producers and distributors and others start engaging in self-censorship because they don't want to offend the sensibilities of somebody whose sensibilities probably need to be offended. That's not who we are. That's not what America's about.
Okay, so that's the piece that when I heard him say, we need to, maybe there's somebody need to be offended. Maybe these guys need to be offended, somebody out there, some folks. And that's not who we are. That's not what America is all about, which reminded me of these exact words he used when he decided to self-censor the showing of the Bin Laden is dead pictures.
It is important for us to make sure that very graphic photos of somebody who was shot in the head are not floating around as an incitement to additional violence, as a propaganda tool. That's not who we are.
It's not who we are. I don't know what we are now. We're nothing, apparently.
That's a good catch.
I mean,
same clip.
It's the same thing. That's not who we are. That's not who we are. Who are we?
That's not who we are. Is this stupid movie.
Who are we is what I want to know.
Well, apparently people with boners that go straight out.
You noticed that too, huh?
Straight out.
I was thinking
like a stick in the guy's pants.
That's a semi, man. That's not a full
three mentions of erections, one visual portrayal with the camera on him. This movie, by the way, was directed by Seth Rogen.
Yeah, exactly.
It was also written by Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
If he gets more work, it's going to be a disaster. It is the most juvenile thing I've ever seen in my life. It had nothing but booger and dick jokes for those in the comic sphere who understand what that means.
It was a lot of gay jokes. A lot of gay jokes. In fact, the whole thing was about everyone's gay. Well, have you seen Seth Rogen movies? I'm wondering, John. Have you?
I have. I saw Green Lantern, a piece of crap.
I hated Green Lantern.
Comedy.
How about? Did you see Pineapple Express?
No.
But see, you kind of have to. Do you remember Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Yeah, this is the type of movie. This is like one of those Porky movies.
Porky's Revenge.
If people like Porky's Revenge, they would love this movie.
That's why I liked it.
I got to tell you, I laughed several times. I thought the whole Eminem is gay thing was funny.
Sense of humor. It's very well known.
Yeah,
but you telling me it's funny? That the guy, there's a tank going on that crushes some guy's head. And then this is the only movie I've ever seen that has both projectile vomiting and then the height of comedy, projectile diarrhea depicted on the screen.
Yeah, see, you just have never seen...
I've seen all these sorts of movies. I didn't see Pineapple Express.
Well, that would have been a good one to see. How about The End? This is where the James Flacco... Seth Rogen franchise was developed. This movie called The End, which also stars Leguizamo. No, Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Have you seen this movie?
I don't understand why they just don't get Pauly Shore and put him into the mix.
Now you're really hurting me because Pauly Shore is a dick.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Fuck that guy. Always hated him.
You can tone down the cussing today.
I'm sorry, but they put him on MTV and preempted everybody because he was so funny.
This is because this is an MTV grudge.
Yes.
It's got really nothing to do with the guy being not funny.
No, really. So Pauly Shore is not funny, and the reason he was put on MTV all the time was because of his mom.
Okay.
Who runs the Comedy Store in L.A. And everyone wanted.
That's right. I knew that.
Everybody wanted seats, and everyone.
You think a kid that has so much had so much comedy in his world would be funny, but no.
Here is one of the better. We could have done a rewrite of this particular scene, and it would have come out better. But at least it had some value to me.
No, this is not a joke, okay? Well, I think you're being kind of condescending. Shut up. I'm on the phone, okay? What the fuck, man? That was John Kerry's office.
Forget that oak tree looking fuck. This tops it.
It should have been Watermelon Head, not Oak Tree.
Well, I would, if you think this movie was in any way decent.
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
The missile coming down and killing the tiger. I mean, the ludicrous storyline.
Okay, John. So
the change in characters. The Seth Rogen character first was against doing this whole thing, and then he became all for it. Or the coincidence of the guy eating the chewing gum. These are all spoilers, by the way. Mm-hmm. Eating the chewing gum with the poison and then dying.
Yeah, that was lame.
It doesn't even look like chewing gum.
But let's put it this way.
It's a Band-Aid.
Let me put it this way. This movie, and you know me, I don't pirate stuff. I pay for, when somebody makes something, I want to make sure they get the. People send me torrent links all the time. I said, no, thank you. I'm not interested. I'm just not. I'll pay for stuff. I don't care. I'll pay. Even if it's shit, I'll pay.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I didn't pay for this one. Screw it. I watched this. Someone gave me a Dropbox download, and I watched it at 1 a.m. on my laptop. It was okay for that.
We paid for it and got an HD version, which we watched. And it was one of these, I don't like paying for movies. I soon wait for HBO to come out and do the movie, unless it's a movie that I really want to see.
You're paying for it in another
I will see a movie in a theater if it's like a spectacular or some movie I really want to see, like Birdman. I went and paid for that, and it cost, whatever it cost.
Right.
But we paid for this. And it was one of those kind of gotchas. It was a catch-22 because it was a movie normally, if I was watching on HBO, I'd be done with it at 15. Okay, I'm through. There's other things to do with my time. I can't waste my time watching this garbage.
I agree.
But because I paid for it,
you're going to watch it.
I felt okay. So Mimi and I both sat there and watched the whole thing, groaning the whole time. And I mean, I can't say that there wasn't a moment or two where
There was funny stuff. Okay.
It was like 2 items.
So what is your point? Okay, we got it. You didn't like the movie.
The point is, people do not spend any money on this piece of crap. You're just feeding the hands at Sony, who are corrupt.
Well, yes. And now let's move away from the merits of the celluloid production to CBS News, who clearly have been following our lead for several weeks. We have said this is an inside job. This is not North Korea. There's the evidence, the forensics are weak that the FBI presents. And it's,
And by the way, the FBI should be ashamed of itself.
Hell yeah. Listen to this.
As Jerika just reported, the FBI blames North Korea for hacking Sony Pictures. Others are not so sure.
Sony was not just hacked. This was a company that has essentially been nuked from the inside.
Kurt Stamberger is a senior vice president with Norse, a respected Silicon Valley cybersecurity firm.
Now, stop. Do we know this outfit, Norse? Is this truly a respected... No?
Never heard of them.
Okay. Well, just so you know, Mr. Tech Journalist, they're a respected Silicon Valley cybersecurity firm.
Yeah, well, they might be. It's possible. It's not as though tech journalists are generally dealing with these obscure firms that do consulting.
Not directly involved in the Sony case, it has conducted its own investigation.
We are very confident that this was not an attack masterminded by North Korea, and that insiders were key to the implementation of one of the most devastating attacks in history.
Okay, so clearly this is a sales job for Norse because they're so respected. But what I liked is they have some data to back up their claim.
He says Norse data is pointing towards a person who calls herself Lena and claims to be connected with the so-called Guardians of Peace hacking group. Norse believes they've identified this person as someone who worked at Sony in Los Angeles for 10 years until leaving the company this past May.
This woman was in precisely the right position and had the deep technical background she would need to locate the specific servers that were compromised.
Other experts in cybersecurity and private intelligence are also questioning the FBI's claim that North Korea is solely to blame for the Sony hack.
There are certainly North Korean fingerprints on this, but when we run all of those leads to ground, they turn out to be decoys or red herrings.
For instance, while the malware used to attack Sony has been used by North Korea before, it is also used by hackers around the world every day.
Now, it's worth noting that the original demand of the hackers was for money from Sony in exchange for not releasing embarrassing information. There was no mention of the movie The Interview. James, meanwhile, the FBI is continuing its investigation of the Sony hack.
Hack. They just like saying hack. Yeah, so thank you very much, CBS. Welcome to reality. Now, here's what was really great about this past week. Not only did we have all of this stuff going on, but we got the script writers got together and they said, you know what? This is just too good. We need to put out another episode of the show. Do you know the show I'm talking about?
No, what?
Well, Matt and Marie, they're talking sensibly.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I missed this.
Oh, yeah. KISSING. Come on, everybody.
It's the Matt and Marie Show. Starring Matt Lee. Woo! Also starring Marie Hart.
Now, I have to say that, first of all, they were doing some renovation in the regular State Department briefing room. So they were in this big auditorium where they had mics they had to turn on and off. And Marie was very uncomfortable because they had the lectern there, the podium, as she would call it. And because of the nature of this auditorium, which was really kind of like a UN General Assembly type setting, they had spotlights on her, and she was a bit uncomfortable. Now, Matt is right off to her right, and he's sitting in pole position, if you will. And it was just wonderful. John, I have to tell you that I learned so much from one briefing, truly, it's not just about Sony, about all world affairs. The Matt and Marie Show should be prime time must-see TV. This is so good. And let us start it off with the first question and answer session between our lovebirds.
Well, as the FBI and the president and everyone has now made clear, we are confident the North Korean government is responsible for this destructive attack. We stand by this conclusion. The government of North Korea has a long history of denying responsibility for destructive and provocative actions. And if they want to help here, they can admit their culpability and compensate Sony for the damages that they caused.
Now, when I heard this, my head spun around. What?
You gonna send him a bill?
You're calling on the North Korean government to compensate Sony?
God, is Matt Lee the man or what? Matt Lee, the diplomatic reporter for Associated Press, everybody, star of our show.
Well, over the weekend, they said a number of things, including what Pam referenced, but also talking about a joint investigation. And yes, if they want to help here, as they indicated over the weekend they did, then they could admit their culpability and compensate Sony for the damages this attack caused.
Okay, and you also said the North Koreans have a long history of covering up?
Of denying responsibility for destructive and provocative actions. That's obviously not just cyber-related, but their actions as well.
How would you rank the U.S. record on that?
I don't think there's any comparison at all.
Has not the United States government denied responsibility for things that it ultimately admitted to?
I don't think there's any comparisons. Anything the U.S. government does and anything the North Korean government does, period. So if you have a more specific question, I'm happy to entertain that. But a broad comparison is just not warranted.
Well, I mean, for years and years and years, you denied, and there was a denial of any role in the coup in Iran in 1953, for example. I'm just saying.
An episode about which we've been very open and public and discussed
recently, but
not
that. But it took 40 years for that to happen.
Look, I will put our record of discussing our history and our past up against any other countries on the planet, particularly North Korea's. Is there anything else on North Korea?
What a joke.
No BJ for you tonight, Matt. But he comes around later, and I'm playing this out of sequence, and now Matt has had some time to think about it, because he finds he is kind of a combination. If we had a love child, she would look like Matt Lee, probably. But he's now had a chance to think about this. He's like, hold on a second, this compensation bull crap. Let me see if I can. But I need to get back at this girl, because, of course, they're lovers.
As you say, North Korea is one of the most heavily sanctioned countries in the world, and it's pretty hard for it to be involved in any kind of legitimate, at least, international finance or commerce. So with that in mind, I'm wondering how much thought was given to the response, put in your response before, that North Korea should pay compensation to Sony.
Well, that's
how could Sony legally accept compensation from North Korea?
This is a John C. Dvorak question, by the way. Wait a minute. You can't actually accept money from North Korea because, that's illegal.
Is there an exception in the...
I'm happy to check with our attorneys.
Would you? Because I mean, as far as I know, it's getting...
Yeah, we can bend the rules a little bit. Don't worry about that.
Well, I'm glad somebody called her on this bull crap.
Oh, it's lovely.
And why would you come out with this? Oh, we're gonna make North Korea pay them. For what? And how are you going to... What was the damages? Specifically, what did it amount to? Did she have a number? Did he ask her for the number? What's the number? Is it $1 billion? Is it $1 million? Is it 100,000?
Let me see what's on the rest of the clip.
Payment from the North Korean government, you're breaking the law.
I'm happy to check with our attorneys. I'm sure we could probably find some exception to make in this case. I was broadly making the point that North Korea's offer this weekend to, quote, help with the investigation was probably a little bit misplaced, and there are things they could do to better assist, including admitting their culpability.
And pay compensation.
And paying compensation, yes.
And what do you have in mind for that compensation? Would that be like actors' salaries?
I don't have more specifics for you than that. But I'm happy to check with our legal folks, and I will try to get you a question or an answer on this.
Actors' salaries. He's kind of asking the question. I like that. I think it's good. But then I did learn something that there's a... This is
the thing that kind of gets to me is if he didn't ask this obvious question, would anyone else in the room have said anything?
No, they would have just let it. It would have just passed right on by. Well, not every. There's one other woman, and I'm not sure who she works for.
There's a woman from RT who keeps asking meaningful questions.
Yeah, but this is not her. This is not the woman from RT. This is the next day. So this is the second day in this new setting. This is somewhat longer, but this is really. You probably saw the clip on TV where So the word gets out. Whoa, North Korea's internet is down. Oh, okay. Sure, everybody. And I'll believe that. Whatever. Great. Yeah. Hey, it's probably us. So Marie was being grilled, and this one woman, she's like, what's going on? And she's like, I don't know. I really don't know.
Now, that's when Matt should have come back and said, are we going to pay them compensation for cutting off their internet?
Well, that didn't happen, but I do want to play this interaction the next day where they all are coming back and saying, hey, look, Marie, you got to tell us if did we do anything, or you can't just say nana 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 nana.
Yes, Matt.
Okay, so apropos of questions that you were getting yesterday, may I ask you if the legion of internet users in North Korea should expect?
Come on, the legion guy. He has funny lines that he slips in there. He's got some good stuff.
Expect to face further disruptions in the coming days of their service.
Well, as I said yesterday, I can't speculate. I mean, ask the North Koreans if their internet wasn't working. I can't speculate on why that was if it wasn't. I can't confirm the reports that it actually wasn't. So I would check with them. They're certainly the right people to speak to this, and I don't have much more on this.
How exactly would you suggest we do that? Email?
Bingo, boom, shakalaka.
If their internet's down, I'm not sure that...
You're an enterprising reporter, Matt. Well, I'm sure you can find some way. But it's not, I guess my point is it's not something for us to speak to. It's their internet, and...
It's their internet.
I thought the internet was the world's.
Can I ask something more? Can I ask?
Here comes this woman. So now they're tag teaming her, and I don't know who. This is now a love triangle with this new woman. I got to find out who she is.
On that particular point,
your answer yesterday to this question.
And by the way, Matt just overruled the other reporter. That was cool.
Which I think Nicole raised.
Nicole, that's her name. Nicole
was interpreted by a lot of people to be a kind of nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
And I wasn't indicate. I don't think I actually winked or nudged during that answer.
No, I'm saying it was interpreted.
See, now they're getting cute. This is a lover spat happening before our very eyes.
I know, and what I said a couple things. I said I can't comment on those reports one way or the other. I can't confirm them one way or the other. I don't actually know that their internet was out.
Bring in the other woman.
Speak to. I was broadly speaking about what the president has said.
Cue the other woman.
No way was trying to link it to yesterday's activity, and I understand it was sort of interpreted that way and did not mean to be.
Can I ask something more pointed, particularly about that? I mean, I think we're not asking you anymore, like, if the internet was shut down. It clearly seems that they've had some kind of interruption. So just point blank, was the U.S. involved in anything related to the internet shutting down in North Korea?
Now, and I would like to point out that I have seen no evidence whatsoever that the internet was shut down in North Korea. Have you, John? Have you seen any real evidence?
Well, I don't know what evidence I'd look for.
Thank you.
What evidence did you look for?
Anything, any kind of forensics, network forensics that I could find, and I really didn't. There's no.
I don't even know what node they run through. I have no idea where they're structured.
Well, apparently their their transit is coming from China, which makes a lot of sense. But even that doesn't necessarily have to be true. I mean, the whole beauty of the internet is if you could have a 3G connection. And they have cell phones in North Korea. There could be a network set up that way. It could be a million different ways. So, but everyone is now just assuming that this happened without any evidence whatsoever. So now we're just all assuming it took place. So now
maybe
the only thing is
go to ask Norse.
Yeah,
I would. This isn't our internet, Elise. I would go ask.
It's not our internet, Elise. Oh, this is Elise. Okay.
The North Koreans.
Did the U.S. undertake any type of cyber operations that could have led to the North Korean internet being down?
Now remember, this is the other woman.
I don't have any information to share with you about.
So you're not saying absolutely not. You're not involved.
I think I'm not going to comment on those one way or the other, and I would caution you from assuming that means.
I'm not assuming. I'm asking.
Caution you.
Sure. Me. Okay.
Young lady.
Just because we're in this room doesn't mean we can all talk over each other.
Ooh.
Oh, God, it's turning into terrible.
Well, this is the soap opera. Okay, you want me to dump out of this?
They should Marie should be
more assertive.
No, I think she's choking or something, or she doesn't know. I mean, when you see Psaki, she is really good at cutting off the conversation.
Yes.
Let's move to something else. Boom, done.
Right, but she's also not having sex with Matt.
Harf could have. Well, it doesn't mean if she's having sex with Matt, it doesn't mean she has to continue this conversation unless it's like a little spat.
No,
she should shut down the conversation if she has any. I don't know.
Oh, and this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy.
It wouldn't be interrupting if she let you finish.
See, Matt's coming kind of like spice it up there.
I like that you do have to turn the mic on, though.
I like that you have to turn the mic on.
No, what I'm saying is, look, I don't have anything new to share with you today about North Korea. The president has spoken to what our potential responses, separate and apart from what we've seen over the last 24 hours, might be. And I leave it to the North Koreans to talk about if their internet was up, if it wasn't, and why. We're just not going to entertain questions one way or the other about, any of these questions about, possible U.S. responses of any kind. And I would caution you from assuming that because I'm not going to comment on them, that the answer means one thing or the other.
I'm not assuming anything. I'm just
Your question sounded like you were.
No.
See, this is what she doesn't do that right. You said, well, you sounded like you did.
That's a huge mistake.
She needs a little more training.
No, it's not. It's just, obviously a lot of people are assuming, and I'm not in the business of assuming. I'm in the business of asking you whether the U.S. was involved in this obvious shutdown of the North Korean.
Obvious shutdown now.
Don't think we're going to get into the business of every time something happens in a country like North Korea saying yes or no either way. I think that just sets a precedent that, quite frankly, is not a helpful one. And I just don't have more for you.
No, she's not going to get Saki's job with this performance.
She probably won't even get to hold on to Matt with this performance.
Very poor. So the North Korean internet actually runs through Thailand. Through the Loxley Pacific, so you could probably do a little research by just calling them.
Why does everyone? So this is another thing. Everyone says, "Oh, it's all China. It's all China."
No, this runs through Thailand, and then before that, they were running through a satellite link to Germany for their internet. But right now, it all goes through Star Joint Venture Company. Joint venture between North Korean government, Post and Telecommunications Corporations, and Thailand-based Loxley Pacific. There's no China involved here at all.
Very good. Oh, there you go. Well, this is all. Thank you. With one search,
while you're yakking and she's fumbling, I find this out very effortlessly. But
very easy.
No one can do this simple search.
You could be sitting there in the State Department asking the real questions, giving Matt a run for his money.
I have a connection.
So here's
probably blocked.
Yeah, right. I did find out something else, which kind of slipped by, that this is not the only thing that's happening with North Korea right now. Apparently, there is a United Nations Security Council meeting that is all about North Korea. And North Korea has said, we're not attending this farce.
Today's Security Council meeting is a historic one, I would say. For the first time, the situation in North Korea, the human rights situation, will be a standalone agenda item in the Security Council. I think it's at 3 p.m. today. This is a significant step. It will ensure continued council attention to the human rights situation moving forward and demonstrates really the concern of the international community. I guess I'd say I'm not surprised that North Korea would seek to avoid scrutiny of, I think, what anyone would call an atrocious human rights record.
Atrocious.
They've been doing so for years. The DPRK's heightened diplomatic activity both in New York and around the globe, I think, to avoid an examination of this record is pretty telling. And I think probably speaks for itself. But we're looking forward to the session this afternoon. We think it's an important step forward.
Okay, so we need to find out what came out of that session, because I'm sure they're trying to move towards an international criminal court getting Kim Jong-un, which is exactly what they don't want, which is why they released the two prisoners, because they wanted to show, hey, we're really trying to move away from this image. This is according to our New York connection, which is pretty solid. So there's
nobody's listening to them. They're still being used as a punching bag for the purposes of selling weaponry to South Korea, and the rest of the world, for that matter.